Hello, welcome back to Hunter Tune. Today I'm going to show you guys a Honda Grom that I bought from a guy down in Springfield, Missouri. I had it shipped up to my house using U-Ship, the app, and couldn't be happier with my purchase. I bought a 2015 Honda Grom with a CBR 250 engine swap in it. And here is the bike. I actually stripped it all down tonight and I got it down to the frame. Took the wiring out of it, took the engine out of it, the radiator, all that kind of stuff. But before I stripped it down earlier today, I took it for a ride and I wanted to show you guys that footage of riding this thing and then talk to you about my plans with this bike and with the engine and everything like that after we get done with the test ride.
Alright guys, this is my 2015 Honda Grom that I just bought. And it has a CBR 250 engine swapped into it, liquid cooled, and in a Grom. Let's go ride it. Put a couple dollars in this thing. Alright, now that I have half a gallon of gas, I don't want to put a lot in it because I'm not going to keep this motor in this bike very long. It does idle kind of high. It's a little up and down right when you first start it, and it's not the snappiest thing in the world compared to like my big 210 motor Grom engine. But you gotta remember, this is a stock 250 engine. There's nothing done to it. This was from a crashed bike, so like the gauge cluster and stuff like that is beat up, but I'm going to change this over, and then I'm going to swap this power plant into my green 2020 Honda Grom. But it definitely wheelies pretty easy. The trans is pretty nice. It's a 6-speed in here. It's super windy out. I'm getting blown all over. You can definitely tell that this engine is heavier, but it's really not that much worse than a stock Grom. 255 is about it. Like I said, it's stock. There's nothing done to it, and I actually just took off the air filter because it seemed like the bike was just a little anemic, and I think taking the air filter off actually made it worse. So that tells me that this bike is running lean. It does have an A-Racer Mini 4 on it, which is like really old school A-Racer, but it does have one. But I want to do a lot of stuff to this thing, this engine, and then you know, tune it with a wideband and make some real power. Now I don't know if the speedo is accurate because it does have some gearing in it. It's got a 14 tooth up front and I think like a 30, 35 or something in the rear, so it is geared down, I think, from what a stock 250 is. Yeah, it definitely feels, it needs tuning bad. Really bad. It just doesn't have the response it should. It just doesn't feel right. It's still fun, but it has way more in it. And when I say way more, I mean like this thing's probably got 5 horse in it, just with tuning. It just doesn't keep pulling. It's got like a little sweet spot right in the mid-range where it runs okay, and then up top it just falls on its fucking face. And I'm assuming this throttle body or this intake system is just a little bit too lean for this thing. This thing should be ripping way harder than it is. So my initial impressions of this thing, my initial impressions of this 250 swap is promising. My 174 valve currently would probably mop this thing, but I think with some tuning, I think just tuning alone, this thing is really going to wake up. And then I might look into doing a big bore and maybe a 300 crank in this 250, and keeping the 250 transmission, because the 250 transmission is actually a little bit better than the 300. I'm gonna ditch the 520 chain because it has a big old 520 chain on it. And this thing, like, you let off the throttle and you are immediately stopping. Like, it has a fuck ton of engine braking. Like, I stop, it goes down to, like, literally I can just stop by letting off the throttle, which is kind of weird. Oh, I got an itch on my fucking nose. Damn it. Try to cover up the fucking intake and see if it gets faster. I just can't with my hand. I don't know if I can kneel down there. Or just get a wideband on it. So you fucking sit. Yeah, I bet you if I dynoed this bike, it probably makes like 20 horsepower, if that. Just seems like it lugs itself down. It doesn't want to like free rev. I don't know, it's hard to explain. I'm gonna end up blowing this fucking light. Fuck it. Yeah. This thing is not happy. It needs more power. I don't know why it's angry, but yeah, I don't know if it's too lean or too rich. It's hard to tell. Need to get a wideband on it. Almost looks like it's leaking oil. Dripping down from the base gasket, it looks like. When I got the bike, it didn't have any oil in it. I mean, it was a little low.
All right?
Yeah, we're all good. Thanks. Was it? Yeah. Yeah. It's leaking something. I don't know what. Oh well.
As long as it's leaking, you know it's got something in it.
Right. fucking cold out. It's like 40 degrees. It's a little chilly. I already burned up my half a gallon of gas. Unless I overfilled it with oil, but I don't think I did. I mean, I could have, and that's why it's fucking slow. I have this fucking face mask on under my helmet. Oh, it's squeezing my cheeks to shit. Super uncomfortable.
So hopefully the footage wasn't too bad with the, I just recently put a camera on my GoPro, or a camera on my helmet and a microphone and stuff like that, but the way that the helmet fits me and stuff like that with the balaclava that I was wearing to keep my face and neck warm, because it is kind of cold here yet, it was very uncomfortable. My cheeks are honestly still sore from the helmet squishing my cheeks together, but I did want to just kind of show you riding around on this 2015 Honda Grom with the CBR 250 engine swap. And now I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit more about what this bike had in it and how we can improve it from here. So this is the bike stripped down to the frame. I mean, there's a couple little things left, like the kickstand sensor and the taillight and blinker wiring back here. The hand controls are still on the bike. These are all off of the CBR 250 bike. Yanked the gauge cluster, the headlight, all that kind of stuff out of it, and the engine. So this bike had this CBR 250 engine. This engine has 1,200 miles on it, and it had pretty much stock exhaust. It actually had a stock, this is the stock CBR 250 header, and then it has a WR 250 Enduro exhaust up top. And I actually kind of liked the way that the exhaust fit on this bike. It fit and it sounded really good. It was quiet. All you could really hear was the intake throat, but I'm gonna try to optimize this engine the best I can. I may still utilize that WR 250 exhaust on a Grom engine that I plan on putting back into this bike, but yeah, let's get down to the meat and potatoes here. So this is the engine, 2012 CBR 250. It's internally bone stock. The only mods were, you know, that WR 250 exhaust, if you call that a mod, and it had this A-Racer Mini 4 computer in it. So this is the ECU that was running the bike. And it actually has these dials on the bottom. So like this A, so it goes A, B, C, and then D on the end. A is actually for the timing adjustment, so you can adjust the timing from stock, I'm sure. This is at +5 right now. I don't know if you guys can even see it. So the arrow's at 5. The next one is the pilot jet, which is at 3. The middle one is the needle jet, or this one might be needle jet, that one might be pilot jet, and then the one on the end is the main jet. So that's how you tune this thing. It pretty much just has a dial adjustment to change the fueling, which I don't really like. I'd rather have an A-Racer with auto tune capabilities, which this ECU, Mike O'Connell tells me that this ECU can actually do closed loop, but it can't do auto tuning. So I might just sell this RC Mini 4, and I'm gonna get an RC Super 2 ECU with the AF1 module and the auto tune feature and stuff like that. So that's my plan. I'll probably sell that guy off. And this is the other mod that this bike had. So to run a CBR 250 or CBR 300 engine swap into one of these bikes, you have to buy this adapter intake elbow that actually sits on the engine like this. So that sits on there like so, and your injector sits right here, sprays down into the motor. Your throttle body goes on this way. So that's why on the plastics over here, there is actually a hole cut into it for the intake, the throttle body, I should say. So yeah. This engine from the factory, I believe, makes like 24 horsepower to the crank stock, and I'm hoping to make at least over 30 horsepower, if not 40, with this engine once we do some modifications to it. So I'm going to be putting this engine and all the swap parts and the swap harness into my green Grom over here that we've been doing a lot of builds on. So this bike I really enjoy, and I love the SF Grom. I love everything I've done with this bike, but I want to run a bigger engine in it with liquid cooling. That way I can sustain high RPM for a longer period of time without getting heat in the engine, because I do like to do some speed runs and just sustain high RPM for a long period of time. So I'm actually taking the big 210 engine that was built by Mike O'Connell out of it, which is actually over here, and I'm doing some mods to this, and I'm going to be putting it into my Honda Monkey, because I'm not going to be doing no top speed runs on my Honda Monkey. With the Honda Monkey, I just plan on doing some around town riding, maybe a little bit of off-road, and I just want a lot of grunt down low, and you know, to have some fun with. But I don't plan on breaking any land speed records with a Honda Monkey. I'd rather do it with my Grom, and that's kind of the case and what I want to do with this. So yeah, that's going to be it. Hopefully you guys are excited to see more of this CBR 250. I plan on building this up, maybe doing a big bore, maybe a 300 crank, and I'm probably going to send the head to Mike and have him port it. So the port here, he'll probably clean all this up, hog it out a little bit, and then I think he can actually get me like the right throttle body, you know, a bigger throttle body, maybe point me in the right direction for a bigger exhaust, just something that I want to be able to make a lot of power with this 250. And the reason I kind of am sticking with the 250 is because the transmission in the 250 is actually a little bit better than the 300. So if I make this engine really good and keep the 250 trans, I think it'd be a good combo. I really do. So we're gonna try that out, and yeah, I can't thank Chris James and Mike enough for just lending a hand, you know, me being annoying, just asking a ton of questions. But those guys are awesome. They both have more experience with the 300 swaps and building these things more than I do. But I am getting quite knowledgeable with these Groms, and I'm very excited and very ambitious to get more done with them. And you guys are probably wondering, like, how the hell did I end up with this thing? I planned on doing a CBR 300 or CBR 250 swap into my green Grom, but I was looking up prices of engines and stuff like that, and prices of entire bikes. And at least by me, I couldn't find a crashed CBR or anything like that to find them cheap. I know if you can find a crashed one for like $1,000 or 15 or 2 grand even, it's probably the best way to go. But I ended up buying this Grom with the swap already in it for $4,000, and I plan on, you know, like I said, taking the engine and all the swap parts out and putting it in my bike, which saves me money in the end. But by the time I would have bought a CBR 250 or 300, or even just the engine is like $1,500 on a good day. So that's no wiring harness or the swap brackets or radiator or anything like that, the hoses, nothing. So I think this is actually going to save me some money in the long run, and I'm going to just have more fun putting Groms together, because I actually have an OG engine that I'm going to put back into this bike. So I'm going to change this bike from being a modded CBR 250 back to stock, or stock-ish. It's going to have some mods, but yeah, and then I'll probably just end up either selling it or maybe keeping it. I'm not sure. We want to do a lot of, we might actually take these bikes to Road America this year and set some of them up for some road racing, as well as drag racing. So maybe this will be one of the bikes that we set up for road racing. But like I said, by the time I would have bought all this stuff, I would have kind of been more upside down in my Grom than I already am. And I think worst case scenario, I put this bike back together, clean it up, and just sell it as a stock OG Grom that's black and gold like it is. It looks real nice. I think I could get $3,000 or maybe even a little bit more for this bike with a stock engine in it. So that would put my swap price at like $1,000, which I think is a pretty good price. So that's kind of why I did it. And like I said, I'm a hoarder with these bikes and I love them. So I can't wait to put something together for that bike and makes use of my OG engine that I don't think I would have used before. So anyways, thanks for watching the video, guys. I'm gonna get to cleaning this thing up some more, and let me know if you guys, what you guys want to see with the swap, and hopefully I can help a little bit, even though this is my first one. Hopefully we can make some good power with it and have a lot of fun. So thanks for watching, guys. Have a great night and a better tomorrow. We will see you later.